Hello everybody, welcome back to the handy homestead. It's that time of year. I'm trying to escape the snow that's on the ground and the bitter cold temperatures and keep myself in a good place looking towards spring whenever I get out, start growing stuff again, start enjoying the walks without getting my feet all sopping wet and cold. So I stopped by the Dollar Tree today and they, lo and behold, have garden seeds out. Not just seeds, they got potting soil this year since they raised all their prices. They've got some potting soils and pots. So you can go in there and you can do a whole garden up from really just the Dollar Tree. I will say that their potting soil seemed kind of high to me. I would suggest if you were going to need it that you go to an actual farm and garden store and buy some decent stuff for maybe $15 a bag versus a little bag from there that's going to run you somewhere around $5, it seems. But just taking a look at these seeds, I am kind of disappointed. I hate this, but they went up. They used to be 4 for $1, but now they're 3 for $1.50. So it's 50 cents a pack anymore, but that's still a lot better than what you're going to find at a lot of stores, Walmart, Lowe's, things like that. And they do have quite a variety. They probably had, at my Dollar Tree anyway, they had probably 100 different varieties of vegetables and flowers and such. And they didn't have really much in the way of tomatoes. This was the big red. This was the only tomato they had. But they had a couple cucumbers. There's a pickling cucumber there. There's an eaten one. And they had multiple different peppers, even some colorful ones. I don't know why. I can't tell any taste difference in all these different peppers depending on color, but I do like the different colors. They look pretty in the garden. And they had cantaloupe and watermelons. They usually have a couple types of carrots, but they only had this one carrot. Some of these, they're all non-GMO. If you go there and look, all the ones I have ever seen are all non-GMO, but some of them are actually heirloom. I've got heirloom tomatoes. They were a cherry tomato and they grow prolifically every year. I don't even plant them anymore. They just keep coming up. And I used to hate that, but anymore I appreciate that something grows that I don't have to plant. So if you have some volunteers, as I call them, just my suggestion is dig them up and put them somewhere that you can enjoy them, or just enjoy that you don't have to do anything with them and they come back. But there's some Swiss chard. They didn't have any lettuce yet. I usually buy my lettuce from there too. And this is really a good way. Everybody talks about homesteading being expensive, and it absolutely can be. And if you have $1,000 that you can dump on doing a garden, that's perfectly fine. Spend your money until your heart's content, I guess. But if you are starting out, or if you are on a budget, this is a wonderful place to start, because for $5 or $10 you can get multiple varieties of seeds. And you can buy the pots there. They have pots as low as $1.50 per container. They have them up to $5 per container too. If you've actually watched this channel, I'm actually a big fan of 5-gallon buckets because they're multi-use, and you can always seal them up, and use the potting soil again later. So for, let's say, $10 worth of seeds, and you go buy $50 worth of either containers from the dollar store, or maybe mix up and get some 5-gallon buckets too. Or maybe you hit up a grocery store that has free 5-gallon buckets because they just throw them away, or a place that might have some ice creams and you get the buckets from them for free. And then you go get some potting soil. Maybe you mix in some soil from your yard, kind of stretch it. So you're looking at maybe $100 to do a nice garden, and that's kind of on the expensive side. I think most people could do this for $50 or less. But if you do all that, that allows you to replace your grocery budget. So most of what you're going to buy at the store, there's a lot of shipping involved in the price. There's a lot of packaging involved in the price. They might have it in a little tin can. Well, that little tin can costs them something, and you're paying for it whenever you buy it. the 1,500 miles that it travels on average to a grocery store shelf, you're paying that portion of the gas price or the fuel price for that too. You're paying for the insurance that the company uses to package all that. You're paying for the employees. So whenever you do it yourself, you're able to exchange dollars from your grocery budget and some labor, and you really upscale your groceries at that point, what's in your refrigerator. And that's where homesteading comes in. It's kind of a do-it-yourself thing. I know we can't be fully self-sufficient. I mean, we probably could be, but you're not going to have everything you want whenever you do that. But you can upscale things. You know, it's the same thing with growing your own pork or your own chicken. You're exchanging a lot of labor that goes into that. You are doing it instead of paying for a company to have, you know, someone else do that. And you're also upgrading the life of the animal that you're doing that for too. And I would argue that you're doing that for the produce as well. It might be produce, but if you'll grow this tomato and you grow it at your house, inside or outside, I don't care. But if you'll grow this tomato, it's grown close to you. It's grown in soil and air and rain that is all close to you versus, you know, something thousands of miles away. If this comes from a greenhouse half a country away from you, or maybe full country away from you, and it's picked before it's ripened with methane gas, and then it's shipped to you and you buy it and it tastes like cardboard, I have a hard time believing that that is actually good for you. It might be better than Cheerios or, you know, Little Debbie cake, but I don't know that it's really good for you. And plus all the sprays and stuff these industrial people put on their produce to grow it, the absence of life around it, I don't think that's beneficial to the human body either. And it's a fairly common, I'm gonna say knowledge, but agreed upon science, if you will, that if you have allergies, you can get honey from bees within, I think it's like 30 miles of you, and that will help you. Well, I would like to propose that if that is the case, then probably also would help you is eating food that is grown local to you. And you can't get really any more local to you than what would be growing outside of your door, or like I said, in your house. You know, I've wanted for a few years now a greenhouse, but so far I just can't justify it because I can start these all indoors. I put them in little solo cups and fill them mostly full of soil, and I water them, and they grow and they start, and I can go out in the garden when they're a couple inches tall and plant them, and they will grow up and produce for me just that way. No greenhouse involved, no extra heat involved, because your house is already heated and cooled. The only thing might be absent is light. So, you know, if you put them somewhere in your house, try to put them somewhere that there's normally a light on, or next to a window or a window sill, something along those lines. And also, if you're growing in containers, you don't really even have to have land. You're just growing in a container garden, 5-gallon bucket, set them somewhere, you know. And I've often thought, you know, tomatoes would probably do good, and peppers, around a TV, because a TV puts out heat. So they're going to get warm that way. Plus they're going to upscale the air in your house and make it fresher with the cycling of the carbon monoxide and stuff. And then also on top of this, every year we do something just a little bit pretty. They have sunflowers and all that there too. You really, I don't eat any of this. I guess you probably could, but I just put them something, I guess, out in the garden for just to look at, something pretty. I'm not a big flower person, but before the red tomatoes are on and the green peppers, it's nice to have some flowers blooming out there. Plus they're attracting the insects and the pollinators, and that can be good for your garden as well. So don't be afraid. It doesn't all have to be about production. Some of it can just be enjoyment. If you're growing a garden and you hate it, you're probably not going to grow it very long. But if you can grow a garden, whether it be flowers and you mix in a little bit of this stuff in with your flower garden, and that helps you enjoy it, you'll keep it up. You're more likely to keep it up. And then for preserving all this, a lot of the stuff anymore we just eat fresh, but you can water bath can it. That's a cheap option. I know it's pretty common throughout the world to do that, but a lot of people here in America are afraid of it. So do your due diligence on that before you just take some guy's opinion on YouTube. We don't water bath anything anymore that takes over an hour, just because it heats up the house so bad or it burns through the propane so quickly. So we opt to, if I'm making a paste or sauce, I'll just go ahead and process it and boil it, and I'll strain it off, and I'll have tomato juice out of it, and I'll freeze it all. Corn, we don't even cook the corn anymore. We just cut it off the cob, put it in freezer bags, and whenever we go to eat it, we'll just throw it in a pot and cook it then. Carrots, you can store your carrots. You can store it, and you don't have to have a root cellar for a lot of this. You can store your carrots in just like a cool, darker place of your house, be it a cabinet or crawl space. You just got to make sure, mice and rats ain't going to get in there and eat it. You don't want to necessarily bait them with your preservations. And then, there's many options. If you go back 100 years ago, before there was rural electric, there was a lot of food produced, consumed, and saved throughout the winter months. Of course, they also ate a lot of protein in the winter, right? They ate more seasonally. But they did it 100 years ago with no electric, no internet, and you can too. So y'all have a good day. Hope this helps. Bye.